role of the state government architect is really to act as an advisor on all matters architectural within government. The primary goal, I guess, is to raise the expectation within government and the community for good quality architecture and to demonstrate that there are real social benefits in getting those good outcomes. In trying to make the arguments for the benefits of good architecture, we've been fortunate recently in being able to reflect on the model of what's called CABE in the United Kingdom. CABE is the Commission for Architecture and the Built Environment. And they've done a lot of work in attempting to quantify what the values of good architecture are. You can see it emerging very clearly in evidence-based material around, say, healthcare and education in the first instance, and also in housing. In healthcare, it is able to be demonstrated now that well-designed patient facilities lead to better therapeutic outcomes. People spend less time in hospitals, they need less analgesics, staff stay on longer, and all of this contributes significantly to healthcare outcomes. It is able to be demonstrated that if you spend your money wisely up front, and perhaps that sometimes requires a little more money to be spent up front, for example, you can get a much better long-term outcome. Lifetime costs of buildings can be significantly reduced by spending appropriately in the initial stages of a building. I think Victoria has always had a strong sense of the civic in its architecture. It's always valued the role of the civic dimension in the cities, and that's the case in Melbourne as much as it is the case in the major regional cities. And I think it would be incredibly valuable to maintain that view of the world within Victoria. I think it would be great to be able to give smaller and emerging practices, architectural practices, access to government work. I think it's important that we foster the next generation coming on. The big firms that are in place now and who are producing all the very good work around Victoria were all given early chances when they were small practices, and that was done mainly by institutions, universities. I think there is a real role for government to do the same. In regional areas, in many respects, good architecture is even more important than it is in a major city like Melbourne, because the insertion of a single new building in a regional city can make a profound difference to the way that city views itself. We recently did what I think was a terrifically successful design workshop up at Wodonga, where we were working with VicTrack and the city up there, and the outcome where we involved Wodonga councillors, VicTrack people, and a small group of architects and urban designers who we brought up from Melbourne. The outcome was outstanding in terms of the projection for what was possible in Wodonga. This is a question that is very often asked, what makes a great building? And I often go back to a judgment that was offered by the ancient Roman architect Vitruvius, where he brought three factors to making a judgment about a building, and that was firmness, commodity, and delight. And if we perhaps convert those ancient Roman words to contemporary words, firmness, how well it is built, what the nature of the finishes, the firmness of the structure, commodity, the functions it offers, its utility, the amenity it offers to people using it. And the trickiest of the three is the one that is delight, and the delight we receive from seeing and experience and using that building. The most difficult to quantify, but it has to do with things like community pride, the way we identify with a place, the way that building can contribute to how we see ourselves.